everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Kiss.
Keep it simple, sister.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Samantha.
Okay, guys, we've been trying to get this going for a bit. And once again, we have to chat a bit before our podcast and cut up. But it's all good because it gets us into this higher energy. But someday we're going to do the outtakes. So I wanted to take a moment to remind everybody what it is we're doing here at the KISS podcast. And that's all about feeling great by feeling better. So the whole idea is that we're looking at incremental changes so that we can feel the freedom within our life, feel the ease, feel the joy within our life. And so this is something that Diana and I have come at different directions and arrived at this point. And it's where we totally meet and celebrate each other because we're both those kind of people that it's like, yeah, we've been through a lot in our lives. And yet we've learned to flip things around and see the benefits and always, well, it's not like it just happens overnight, but we know how to get to that positive side and go into that good feeling space. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's just a reminder to ourselves about our perception of whatever is going on. And everyone has a different perception of the same events. I have one perspective, Samantha has one perspective, anybody we're interacting with does, but we want to remind ourselves that everything's always working out. And even if it feels like it's uncomfortable at the moment, it's going to be okay. So it's a lot about self-talk, it's going to be okay. Let me remind myself this happened and it was okay. That happened and it ended up being okay. I was worried about it not being okay. And it might not have been the okay that I expected.
Yes.
But it always ends up being okay.
And we go through all of this so that we can experience life. You can't experience life if it's all vanilla and everything's
rainbows and butterflies.
Yes.
Well, and I love a rainbow and I love some butterflies. I really do. But you can't appreciate,
I was going to say that,
the rainbow without the rain. And one of the reasons I love butterflies is because they are transformational. They change from the caterpillar to the pupa to the chrysalis, whatever that is. And I learned all this because I have a master's in science, and look at me just expounding on it. Anyway, metamorphosis happens and it's a change from a caterpillar into a beautiful butterfly.
Yes. So, and if, in case y'all haven't noticed, if you look closely at our logo, because some people don't catch this, it's a butterfly, but it's also two faces, our faces, not our exact profile, but wouldn't that be cool to do? But it might not be as lovely. I don't know. But it's two people looking at each other.
No, looking away from each other, right?
No, I think they're looking towards, good God, we have to look at our own.
Hold, please. I have a keychain that my friend Suzanne made for us. And it is, can you see it? Yeah. So they're back to back, looking in opposite directions, but they're all one. It is one.
So beautiful that she did.
It's not exactly our color, but it was as close as she could get. I thought it was so sweet of her. And it's a little keychain, and then it's like sparkly on the back because toss kindness around like confetti. That's another thing that I have not. It's another sign I have here. That's why I looked up. But can you see the faces?
Yes. Oh, it just yep.
So they're looking in opposite directions, but they're all one, and that's us.
I love that.
I do too. I'm glad you mentioned that, because and Samantha worked really, really hard on our logo and all of our stuff. So I just want to give you a shout out and some kudos for how professionally our podcast has come together and looks. And I would never, you all would just be seeing me sitting here just talking about random stuff if it weren't for Samantha. And that's my contribution to the KISS podcast, random stuff. Well, Samantha, on the other hand, has done a lot of hard work and is making it beautiful and wonderful and have some music and some. So anyway, I love our logo.
See, if I was doing this by myself, it would all be very serious and teaching and, all this kind of stuff, where doing this with you, it's light and it's fun and it's conversational. It's a dialogue. And I
And
think that what I hope for everyone who watches this is that you feel into the nuances. And it's not that Diana and I always agree on everything. It's, we have our own perspectives, but where we absolutely meet, like we don't agree on food at all. But
true.
beside that, um, it's where we meet is on that positivity, on that always, lifting each other up, but not doing it in a bullshit way. It's
Right.
really owning, like, where am I at? This doesn't feel good. I'm not in alignment. This isn't who I am. What do I need to do to shift? So it's not ignoring it. It's acknowledging where you are and then going, okay, now I need to shift into what feels better for me. And that's the trick a lot of people miss. The whole fake it till you
Right.
make it is BS. It's you've got to own it as you go.
Well, and I have a friend who asked me one time, why the hell are you so happy all the time? That was like an opening line. Like, what do you mean? Why the hell am I so happy all the time? I just come off as happy because I don't have time to wallow around in self pity and victimhood and all of that. I have worked on looking for the positive, which is our flip side that we normally do.
Yeah. So
Um,
let's mention
and
that when you're ready.
yes, so what I was going to say is we don't have a flip side, but I kind of do. And if you don't have one, that's okay. And you might be able to weigh in on mine.
Okay.
It just came to mind. So yesterday, so some of you have seen, if you've been watching the podcast, that I was in Florida helping my daughter, and now she's making a change in her job and her future and whatever. And so she's temporarily with us at my house until she figures out what's what, and she's helping me with some of the responsibilities of my husband that had the stroke, and just helping out. So she's going to be my personal assistant. We might even have her as a guest at some point, I don't know.
Mhm.
But Samantha picked up on the fact that I was so busy taking care of everybody else that I wasn't taking care of myself, and that I was kind of in a funk. And she got me out of the funk yesterday. So, and the funk is, before I swoop in and save the world, which is my little world, my daughter, my husband, my whatever,
But
I'm
all
rolling along, happy go lucky, doing my thing. And my priority was the podcast. I also have another business that supplements. And I was really like rolling with it. And then all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt. And
Mhm.
I hadn't really figured out that the problem was that I wasn't prioritizing myself. I was prioritizing everybody else, which, like you said, moms just do that. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be working on in the podcast coming up toward the holidays, because all of us know it's stressful. It's stressful as the mom or the person who is putting on the dinner and wrapping the presents and all of the things, but not for all the other recipients. So we're going to kind of be working on that with everyone.
Yep.
But the flip side was that I was in a funk and I didn't even realize I was in a funk. And then Samantha brought me up and made me feel better and
Mhm.
just changed my outlook for the day. I didn't even know that I needed to be flipped. And our conversation, and this happens all the time, our conversation flips me. And I think sometimes it flips you. So, like,
Yep.
one of the reasons why we did this podcast is when we sit and chat and whatever, we always feel better when we get done talking
Mhm.
to each
We're
other.
always laughing. And I mean, we always get to the point where we're laughing, where we feel ease. And this is where having a buddy in your life, someone
Yes.
who gets you on that higher level. What is the whole thing about how, you are who you surround yourself with? You know,
Yes.
so
Yes,
when you
it's the
have
5
those,
people that you're closest to.
Mhm.
So sometimes the 5 people that you're closest to will bring you down, and sometimes they will lift you up. And so what we're going to talk about today might be a good indicator of us Okay, so I just came. We were trying to figure out what our weekly Wanderlust is. So if you're new to us, that's kind of like our assignment at the end of the podcast. But I'm kind of thinking, and you let me know, and when we get done with this, we'll decide if this is really what we should do. But
Wait, you're not interested in introducing it yet?
no, not yet.
Okay.
Okay, never
But
mind.
don't forget, write it down so you don't
You know
forget
I will.
right at
Okay, hold
the
on.
end.
Okay.
So while Diana's writing that down, this is how we like and look, I could edit a bunch of this stuff out, but I want you guys to see our process. Like this is how we just spark things in each other and go, whoa, whoa, wait. And this is more like when I'm doing my spiritual life coaching, this is what, like, all of a sudden I'm conversing with someone and things spark and it's like, hold on a second. And I write something down and I go totally left from where I was going, before. And I love it because that's how you and I do things. Like we spark each other with this stuff.
Well,
Um,
and I'm starting to tune in to when these ideas come to me, which is kind of fun. I mean, this has been a process, but it's when I'm listening to my intuition, I'm listening to my guides, I'm listening, which is kind of fun. I
oh,
mean,
I
I know you're used to it and you've been doing it for years and years, but
love
okay. So that's the end of the flip side,
Oh no,
unless
I
you
do
want
have
to
a
say
flip
your
side.
side of the flip side. Oh, okay,
I
good.
do have
I
so
knew you would.
so we all when she said that one before we started, she goes, Diana's like, don't worry, it'll come up if there's something, because it's really, really hard. Like it's always hard to give examples in the moment, like to come up with
Yeah,
something. So we try to think of this stuff ahead of time. But sometimes, when you're in the flow, it comes more easily. So
yeah.
my flip side is so our son lives with us. He graduated college and he's taken a year before he goes out and does whatever and just kind of transitioning from being a lifelong student to being in the workforce before he has to be really hardcore workforce. Um, so anyway, there's a lot of adjustments he's making, and some of them are conversationally are great, and others a little bit stressful. I I love having him here. I love having the conversations, and I've always had a very open conversation with him. Like we can talk about literally anything. And so the other night, oh my God, he was in a mood. And we were going to play, we love playing euchre. We play three-handed euchre, my husband, Brody, and myself. And we'll do that oftentimes before dinner. So we were going to do that. And he comes down, we're getting ready to play. And I mentioned something that was like my mind's buzzing. I'm going from one thing to the next to the next, like continuing a conversation with him he and I had the other day because my mind's just buzzing with these thoughts percolating at the top of my head, being very ADD. If I don't say it right then, I will forget it. I will move on to the next shiny pretty thing. So we had been talking about how to store stuff from the grocery store, something that most of our kids, we don't think about this. We don't teach our kids that tomatoes don't go in the fridge. They stay out. Like,
Right, right.
it's in so how do I explain that to him that, okay, when you buy your own groceries, this is why I put things where I put them. So I said, Brody, pay attention to where you find it in the grocery store because it's there for a reason. And so if stuff is not in the refrigerated section, it needs to be left out at home. So I'm explaining this to him. And of course, there's all kinds of little tips and tricks to get things to last longer, but I'm just saying in general. And so that was the day before. So I come downstairs and he's gone to the store and I noticed that he did what I had said, mentioned, which was to like put the potatoes that he got um on the counter or whatever, but he still had them in the bag. And I
Okay.
was like, so I just jumped right in and I said, Brody, you've got your potatoes in the bag. You don't want to leave them in the bag because if you leave them in the bag, that's going to make them ripen quicker, so like they should be out and having air, so I'm explaining this to him.
Okay, you just taught me something new. I did not know that because my potatoes have been in the bag on my counter.
Well, it's,
But that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, because there's just, yeah, there's certain things that should be in the air and able to
Makes sense.
think about, like with, if you want to ripen an avocado, if you want to ripen bananas, just put them in a bag and then they just kind of among themselves, like the gases can't escape.
Exactly. It's all
Tomatoes
science.
are not as good an example because they can withstand it better, but they will
Uh-huh.
still ripen. They'll start to do their little buds, whatever you call
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
ears,
Eyes,
eyes, ears, eyes. So
whatever.
anyway, I'm telling him this, and he turns around and he's like, "Thank you for the word vomit." And I'm like, WTF? And I mean, like, he just like gutted me. Like it was a stream of things after that, and he's like, or, there's another way I'm sure you could have figured out how to say this. Like he was not expressing himself in
Kind way at
not
all.
at all. No, I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And and the thing is, there's so many things I could have done in the moment, but for me, I always jump into neutral. What is it I want to accomplish with this? Um, and I'll only stand and tolerate it for so long, but I also don't want to run away. So I'm like trying to balance the whole situation, get to practice a lot of skills in that situation. And so what I did was, I was thinking in the back of my mind, well, okay, he, I could say, well, you're not wrong. What does that mean? Like I'm thinking all this real quick because
Yeah.
the thing is, if I said you're not wrong out loud, why would I say that with his tone of voice, like how he's coming at me? And I realized, okay, from his perception, let me stop and look at his perception. So
Uh-huh.
as I started asking, and he was still being belligerent, but I asked him why he felt the need to say it that way. And he's like, will you just come in and, like he said he had to do it very impactfully so that I would remember. And I'm like, I'm an adult. We can converse. So it was not a pretty conversation the way it went, but I kept going, what is his perception? Why is it? Because I was fine. He's the one ramped up.
Yeah.
And so as we're going through this conversation, I begin to realize that for me, it was a stream of consciousness from the day before, and I was simply continuing the conversation. From his point of view, he was seeing it as that I was criticizing him. I was, like it's like coming through going, you haven't done the dishes. This needs to be put up. Take care of this.
Yeah.
He was hearing it like, good God, can I not do anything right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, had we not stood there, had I not taken the time, had I not gone to neutral and allowed the curiosity to take effect, then I couldn't have had that conversation with him. And so we got to a point where we were kind of neutral. And I said, well, we need to play nice so we can go out and play nice with dad. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm good. I just felt like I needed to make the point. And I was like, don't say anything, Sam, because I didn't want to ramp it up again. So we
Yeah.
go out and play cards. And then the next day I'm coming back from a photo shoot and he's like, can we go have a drink and like a bite to eat and like let's do it at Tessa's place where Tessa was working. He wasn't working that night. They both work at the same restaurant periodically. And he's like, why don't we just go and have drinks and we can talk? And all he want because I didn't put him in a corner, all he wanted to do was reconnect.
That's nice though. That's
Yeah.
great.
And so it's just like one of those,
And good for you.
yeah, it works out if you can just move into neutral and be in that space.
And you're really good at doing that. I'm not really good at doing that. So I'm working on that. I am, honestly.
I just feel like you're always easygoing, but like I know you can go from 0 to 100 if you have to.
I can and drugs help me not. I mean, not those kind of drugs, but like
I'm like, mother's little helper. Let's get into this, Diana. This was not what we were going to talk about.
well, I will say this that I believe that for years and years and years I was anxietal. And everybody likes to say, "Oh, you're just a type A personality and you get things done and da, da, da," and all of that is anxiety and I didn't really realize what that was.
Yeah, yeah,
And my doctor kept saying, because I would go in and I'd be all stressed out because I was a teacher and I had little kids and, like everything in my mind, I had to be perfect. I was a perfectionist, blah, blah, blah. And she kept saying, just a little bit of Prozac. That's all you need is just a little bit of Prozac. And I kept saying, my mom's schizophrenic, so I'm not taking a little bit of anything because I've seen what those kind of psycho whatever drugs do. And seriously, for 8 years, She said to me, just a little bit of Prozac, that really will help you. Just a little bit of Prozac. When I finally tried a little bit of Prozac, I became the poster child for Prozac because it just took that bit of anxiety. It toned down the anxiety to the point where I could realize what was really happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to my girls, they're like, yeah, you used to be really, really mean until you started taking that medicine, Mom. Now, I don't, I mean, people have different opinions about medications. But some of the supplements that I take, and I know you take now, are helping with those things too. And anxiety is a thing. We're all talking about it now. We didn't used to talk about it. And so many people have kind of, I mean, and maybe that's where Brody was coming from. He was feeling anxious about something else, and you were the safe, you were safe.
Yeah, when you have
And that's what happens to us a lot. Like we get the unload because we're going to love them no matter what happens. And that's when I was yelling at the people at my house. They're going to love me no matter what.
So you can unleash.
So I just let it out. So that was it. It's interesting, your perception and thinking of his perception, because I think so many of us don't slow down to kind of think about that.
Yep. Wow, this is so cool. We have talked about so many.
Well, and this has nothing to do with what we thought we were going to talk about today, but I think it's important.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love all this. Okay, so we're ready to go into the positive path.
Sure.
Okay. And we're going to, in this positive path, we are going to do our best to remain as positive. We're going to talk about, well, for me, this is a trigger conversation. Not a trigger, it's a soapbox of mine. That's a better way to put it. Because of experiences I've had throughout my life. The topic is integrity, being integrous, which also is synonymous with walking your talk. It means being authentically who you are. And so I want to introduce this as there's a lot of, it's funny because it's like we're almost beyond new age kind of concepts. Now it's spiritual concepts. Now people are okay saying spiritual instead of new age. But there's a lot of spiritual coaches, spiritual teachers, spiritual concepts out there. And you'll hear us talking about you have to be selfish. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first. And you'll hear people say that. But the thing that I always try to be sure to add to that, because I've been around gurus who have preached this stuff and then watched people take it and destroy other people's lives.
Yeah.
That's that you have to do self-care. You have to put the oxygen mask on you first before you can help others, but you have to do it with integrity. And so, you'll hear me say, I mix the words integrity and being integrous. Same thing. It's, but it's all about, if you have commitments, and you're sitting here going, but they said, follow my passion. If my passion is that I want to take a trip and go somewhere, if I want to go do something, so I should just do it. Well, you don't do it at the conflict of, or out of integrity. Well, outegrity. That would be outegrity.
I don't know. You made that one up, I think, but I kind of like it.
So you're in outegrity, and no longer, being in alignment with your higher self. Now you're truly being what people see as selfish. You're not following through on the commitments that you have. So you have to take care of those commitments. You have to honor the agreements that you've made in your life, while you walk your path. That's how you become integrous. That's how you are in true alignment. That's how you, if you're being outegrity,
we're gonna coin that, and maybe we need to what do you do? Copyright it? No.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's going to be yours. Go ahead.
So there's got to be a better one than outegrity. What's the opposite of in? Like detegrous? If you're going to be
unintegrous.
Yeah, unintegrous. But if you're going to do that, that's when you start feeling the wonkiness where you can't sleep as well at night, where, you start kind of looking over your shoulder. It's where you start kind of checking what you're saying to people, like the lies start to build up, the inconsistencies. And here's the thing that you got to watch out for. If you find that you can sleep at night, if you find that the person who's behaving this way can sleep at night and doesn't seem to have a problem with it, then you're dealing with someone who is either delusional, they're faking it, or they are, well, no, because they're sleeping at night. So if they're sleeping at night, it tends to be that they are narcissistic, where they
Well, and
fill
convince
your mind.
themselves that they're justified in whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
It's not cool at all. And I kind of beat myself up sometimes because I am so giving, to the people that I like, even to strangers,
Mhm.
because I want them to have a good day. I want them to feel good. I want them to be joyous. And that's, why the hell are you so happy all the time? I mean, because I feel it and I want you to feel it too. And sometimes I
Mhm.
don't pick up on the clues of someone not having integrity in what they request of me or require of me or sometimes
Mhm.
demand of me, or in order to make it all better, to make it all happy and light, if I can help you, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
But then there are times when people take advantage of that, and I think that that's where the integrity part comes in.
Mhm.
And
Well, then you're looking for them to be integrous, and that's an interesting part where you sit there and you go, okay, was it my boundaries? You know, like, I mean, there's
And
you
I don't have any
for that.
boundaries, and I need some boundaries. I think that's the biggest part for me. Really, I'm open, I'm all out there. I always have been. Um, but I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm looking at situations, and this has happened to me a couple of times, where I, had a good friend, was trying to help the good friend, lent them money, paid for something for them, whatever. And they decided that it wasn't a priority for them to pay me back. And I had to, Venmo request and send an email. All of that is just ridiculous, but that's my value system.
Mhm.
My value system is if if I owe somebody money for something, if they were nice enough to lend me some money,
Mhm.
I would not take, have a I would not take a fancy vacation. I would not buy a new car. I would, all the things
Yeah.
that are kind of extra. Now, I get it if you can't buy your groceries. I get it if you need gas. I get all of that. And all you would have to say to me is, I am so sorry, but I'm really struggling over here. And as soon as I can pay you back, I'll pay you back.
Now see,
Which
I
some people have said to me
yeah.
and then decided, oh no, well, I really don't owe you anymore. I don't get it.
Well, and to reason it away. See,
Yes.
okay, so I like that you said that. So one of the things when somebody finds themselves in that situation where somebody has loaned them money and they need to pay them back, they know it was a loan. Um, it's an interesting thing with people because communication, I always tell people communication is everything. You have to communicate. And if
Definitely.
you're not communicating, you know, big, red warning sign there, that something needs to get addressed. Well, a lot of times when people owe money, they're embarrassed. They're, like if they're having trouble making ends meet, then
Yeah.
they're embarrassed, they're not meeting their obligation. And what's interesting with us with humans, is that we end up like tucking and rolling, like, like, why you go fetal position
Yeah.
instead of just addressing it and telling someone, hey, I just don't have it right now, I'm trying to work through it. Like, that's the normal kind of, like, that example I gave with my son. That's an adult. That is, well, that is a mature, let's say a mature, because you can be not an adult and be
Adult,
mature.
not mature. Yeah.
So that is a mature, that is a reasonable way to respond, is to have that level of communication.
And the funny thing is, in two different instances, people have told me that, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Whenever you have it, that would be great. Or can you just pay me a little bit now and pay me a little bit later or whatever?" And they've agreed and they've done it and maybe like made one payment and then decided that they don't have to do that. And like they don't owe the money after that. Like, I don't, that's
Not
not
integra.
integrous, non-integrous or whatever.
So there's a very good example right there. And I'm sure that there are so many of our viewers who have had that situation. Like my husband says, you never loan money to family. But my take on it is, when I loan money to family, I do it with the sense of I may never get this back, and I'm okay with
Right.
it. And so I put that out there, and I did that forever with my daughter. And then it's like all of a sudden she reached a point where it was like very important for her to to start to start then like paying me back, like, for every little cent. Like, it
Yeah.
just became a thing. So I didn't have to give her a hard time about it. I didn't have to say anything, but I was also really good. Um, if sorry, you guys, I'm playing around with something here that I should have done earlier. Um, so, it I can't remember what I just said, sorry. So it's something that she just took upon herself. It's something that kept her up at night without me having to say anything.
Well, and you said, I'm really good. I was really good at, that's what you forgot. What were you really good at? Reminding her, not reminding
Oh,
her?
yeah, it's probably really good giving her that space.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, and so, that's how I've operated. And,
Well,
when I
and the funny thing is, this same friend gave me advice when my daughter bought her townhouse,
Mhm,
I lent her some money. I gave her some money to help with the down payment. And there was always the understanding that she was going to pay me back when she sold the townhouse, whatever. And she wanted to make monthly payments. And this same friend who has gone back on not paying me back for the loan said, you need to tell her it's a gift because she needs to not worry about paying you back monthly because that's going to become, a something between you. And I was like, all right, well, I'll tell her it was a gift, but at some point she's going to pay it back. And she
yeah,
is the
not
one
have to
who
do the
was
payment.
worried about it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I was fine with that. I didn't need her to pay me back every month or whatever, but
Mhm,
she would not have gone on a luxurious vacation knowing that she should have paid me back part of that money or whatever. Does that
mhm,
make sense?
yeah. But there are people and there are family members who do that. And when you do that, that stretches that line of believability, of trust, of, you know, it's a the damage that's done. My mom used to always say, don't cut what you can untie. But when
Oh,
you act out of integrity, you strain relationships, and not just between you and that person, because no person is an island. There's a fabric around all of us. We're all connected.
yeah,
And I'm not saying just in a spiritual way, I'm saying there's so many different relationships. And so when two people, when that strain occurs, it then becomes a who's right, who's wrong. You don't know the whole story. Like, it becomes this whole other thing. And then it pulls on people to express loyalties, and like, it gets ridiculous. And all
mm,
of that's avoidable by just maintaining integrity, doing what you're saying, and communicating when you are unable to follow
exactly.
through. So, like, hear us. Like, if you're in that position, if you are one of, a person who you're sitting there going right now, you owe someone money and you can pay your bills. Okay. You're in that situation. Then sit there and go, am I in alignment with my higher self? Am I feeling good about this? Like, because if you aren't, then take care of that first. And then
Right.
the freedom, the lightness that opens up, like, you just feel so much better. And if you're that person who owes and you can't pay the money, get your head out of the sand. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's what my daughter used to do. Like, she would just put her head in the sand and it's just like dissociate. She couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And I get that too. But it's like all you have to do, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2-minute conversation, and just you don't need excuses. You just have to say, please trust me that I can't do this right now.
Well,
That's
and if someone said that to me, I would be like, "I get it. Just whenever you can you please, give it back to me?"
yeah, because we've
But,
all been there.
yeah, and I've been there, but I made a priority. I made it a priority to have integrity about doing what I promised,
Yeah,
doing what I agreed to,
yeah.
doing what and if something changes and you can't do
Mhm.
what you promised, then of course you're going to communicate. But if you can, then you should.
Yeah, so let's broaden it a little bit where it's not just about money.
Yeah.
This is if you do the whole, do you remember Jan Brady where she signed up for every committee or whatever, if you Jan Brady
On the
her
Brady Bunch. Yeah.
and sign up, you oversell your time.
Right.
It's
And
you
that happens a lot, especially for women. A lot.
especially for women. People will just say, well, there's no one to run this committee. Could you just do it? You're so good at this. And you just go, yes, I know I am. Okay. And then all of a sudden, so it's integrity. Like, it's been a big deal for me to sit there and go, because I love doing all kinds of different things. And I have narrowed it down and narrowed it down. And the hardest one that I've had to be integrity with myself lately, and everyone knows this because I talk nonstop about it, is not fostering at the moment. And I had someone mention they had a kitten that needed a foster up in Charleston. And I was like, that's not even in your county. Leave it alone. But
Okay, I'm really proud of you because I know that that was very difficult because you love to do it.
it's like the IV, of the drug was going in me and I had to yank it out. But that it's a calling. It's a thing for me.
Yeah.
And I won't get really deep into this, but I went through a 2-week period during an awakening, a spiritual awakening that I had where I could see who I was on the other side, like what I like to do. And I was involved with animal husbandry. And
That
it was
so makes sense, right?
yeah, I mean, like
That
it
makes sense.
goosebumps,
Yeah.
man. I could see, it's like being in a paddock and there's dirt, but there's not dirt because it's not real, and I'm working with the behavior of animals so that people understand. And so anyway, that's why that's a passion of mine because it comes down from that.
There's always more to it, right?
Yes.
There's always more to it. And same thing with me. I'm a helper. I've always been a helper. I I want to help. And it's funny, I went to my high school reunion and a friend that wasn't a really close friend said, "Well, of course you did. You help everyone." Like from back in the day, it was already a big part of me. Um, and it makes me happy. Just like the kitten and the and fostering, it makes you happy, and that's great. And so, what I'm trying to work on with this situation is to let it go, and that's hard because I'm also a right fighter. Like it's not right,
Justice. Yeah.
justice. It's not right because that's not the way people with integrity act and behave. It's not right. But what am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I only have control over how I feel about it and how I react to it. So I have to remind myself that's what I have control over.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so many times it's wasted energy. I
Hmm.
have no control over this, but they should have done this and they could have done that. And I wish they did this. And it's just so unfair. And what about the other people? Would they do that to other people too? I want to protect the other people.
Protecting the other people is a big one. And
But
that's
it's not my job.
yes.
That's not my job.
Hmm.
But my job is to be on the lookout for people's integrity.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout and when they tell you something, believe it. When they show you something, believe it.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
That just came to me because people show me things all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I know this and this and this about them. And I know this and this about them. And that's probably where that came from. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It really doesn't matter where it came from.
Interesting.
I'm having all of these epiphanies today.
You are. This is why we do these discussions. Well,
I
so
know.
there's a couple of other points that I want to bring up, but there is okay. So you guys have heard me talk about the ascension process and how things are shifting, and I got this download message like just suddenly in my head, and this it was a weird time because it was when I was hugging my son. We were saying goodbye. We were leaving him at Clemson for his first year. We just dropped him off. My husband and I had gotten into the car. We high-fived each other. We did it. We got a kid to college. And we're driving away, like literally driving out of this parking lot. It's all crazy with cars around us. And I suddenly get this download about clear communication. And I'm like, what is that? And they're just like, I could feel the pressure right here. And it was like a knowingness. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And then the message was that I was going to be involved with this. I don't know what that means. I'm going, okay, more. That's it. But I've never forgotten that download because that was um when was that? That was like 4 or 5 years ago that I had that
Yeah.
download. And it's as strong today as it was then. Well, I've gotten a couple of other messages lately since that time. And it all has to do with the fact that as we go through this ascension process, as humanity is evolving at a very rapid pace right now, and we're moving from the head space into the heart space, that it's going to become a thing. It's not like I have ESP and I'm not reading your head, but
Uh-huh.
we're moving into emotional space where we have more of the feels. And so when we're talking to someone, emotions going to become, or communications become very clear because I'm going to understand your intentions. So if you tell me, yeah, I'm going to do this, but that's really not the person. Now, you're not predicting the future. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they may fall off and not do it, but it's in that moment of I'm telling you this, and yet that's not really where their emotions are at. Like, I love you, and you can sense no, you don't. Which is it's a part of empathy. It's something I've lived with where I can feel that, but not to the degree I know I've met someone who no matter what you say, they can feel into your emotion right then and there. And many of the family members, like it's a trait, and they've been suicidal. Like, I mean, it's a very to have that veil totally gone. Um,
Yeah.
but we're going to have it in a kinder, gentler way where it's more of just a sense of this is off. This doesn't meet up. And it's going to be a
Uh-huh.
gentle, I think my understanding is it's going to be a gentle process as we get used to being able to feel into each other's intentionality a lot more. So it's a pretty cool concept. So I just wanted to bring that up.
No, that's really cool. And actually, I mean, before I met you and started talking about metaphysical stuff and, learning everything,
Hmm.
I've always been that person that can read someone's face. Like I know when you're not feeling well. Are you okay? Is there something I can do to help you? Like I've always had that. So I've had that heightened empathy
Hmm.
all along. And some people have that. And it's very
It's usually
uncomfortable for some people.
it's usually because as a child you had to develop it because things were kind of going crazy around you in your
Right.
environment.
I need to be able to sense what was happening and protect
Yes, exactly.
myself and others.
Uh-huh. There we go.
Yeah.
Big
Yep. There we go. Childhood.
Well, so then the other point, before we get to a point of wrapping up, is that this is the season right now, and I'm going to be one of these people, where a lot of coaches, gurus, whatever you want to call them, mentors, self-help, whatever, are going to be offering the what is it, the Black Friday, get on board with me packages. And they're going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
hyping you up, and they're going to be getting you all excited about things. Um, and like I said, I'm one of them, but I am super excited about what I'm going to offer, which is my Zen Tarot thing. And so as you're looking at all of these offers, they do it in this space of time where the media has already hyped people up to, to
Yeah.
the
They're playing the
commercialism.
Christmas music and Hallmark channel showing the movies.
Yep. And so you're just like, oh my God, I want to do this. So, you know, I just want to get everybody to take a moment, take a breather, and just go, okay, this looks really good, but does this person who I'm going to buy the course from or do the work with, you know, are they walking their talk? As a big one with me. Are they
Mhm.
walking their talk? Or are they just throwing a bunch of adjectives and adverbs out there, like how great it is, how wonderful everything is? Or are they showing you the proof? Like, like not just themselves, or, like we buy into a lot of stuff on Facebook where lives are happy and great. And then there's a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. So are they being candid? Are they being real about things? Are they walking their talk? And really feel if the course or the, one-to-one mentoring, whatever it is, does it resonate with you? Because the thing is, it could resonate with you. It could really resonate strongly with you and the person not be in integrity. But it's because this is a path you need to go down. It might be that
Learn
person,
this.
yeah, and it might be that it's the greatest experience because it's something that you needed to have and you wouldn't have done it any other way. Or it could be one of those wonderful learning curves that you just bites you in the ass, you never know. But it's just to pay attention to where you're consuming the information from. What course you're buying, what you're getting out of it. Is it really truly meeting your needs? Have some awareness, and like I wouldn't want anyone to knee jerk react and suddenly, give me money to be a part of my course if it wasn't something that they truly have been waiting, wanting to do, you know?
Right.
So
Well,
it's
and
yeah.
also, I wouldn't want someone to see my story, hear my story, be involved with my story, and hope that their story was the same when I'm not being completely transparent about my story. When
Mhm.
I'm not, it's hard. It
Yeah.
and it's a skill, and it's a slow yourself down and think about it and feel it out, and hopefully you're dealing with people with integrity.
Yeah.
And sometimes they think that they have integrity, but if they really examine what they're saying and what they're doing, it doesn't match up
Mm.
with what they're teaching and coaching. And
Yep. Wow. Okay. That was I think that's a good place to stop. That was a good conversation. Um,
yes.
oh, you guys would be so impressed if you knew. So, we are going to talk about the weekly Wanderlust. And oh, wait, no, we're doing sweary affirmations first.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We always forget. Okay. Sweary affirmations. And
Sweary,
I know it's going to be right on, and it's probably going to have something to do with integrity. I bet you.
sweary
my
affirmations, sweary.
my little bag of sweary
And
affirmations.
remember,
I
you
should make a little a song up. Tune in next time for my sweary affirmation song.
we only have 3 more cards, but we can always
Oh, can't we
repeat.
start over again?
We can always start over again.
Shuffle.
Or wasn't there uh uh another package of them? Like, and they said they were
Oh,
on.
there's a whole bunch of them. And remember, I found one that could stick to the shower wall. Yeah, so we'll get some other ones because they're in our shop in case you're doing your Christmas shopping and people wanted or holiday shopping, Kwanzaa, uh, like all
All of
inclusive,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
Hanukkah,
Non-denominational shopping.
all of them, anything you might want to give for a birthday present, any kind of person. Okay,
Yeah,
are we
people
ready?
have birthdays around this time. Don't forget them.
I know it's sad.
I'm not one of them. You're not one of
Me
them.
neither. But I did have a brother whose birthday was December 16th, and he always felt he got shafted.
My sister's December 17th. But then
Yeah.
she moved to Uganda. And so, she gets a email. It's hard to send gifts that far.
Yeah, so true. Okay, stop.
I was just gonna sit there and keep doing it. Okay. Not quite applicable to this, but
Okay.
in case you want to do my Zen tarot, what are you waiting for? Get out there and fucking do it.
Totally.
That's what I
What
had
are you waiting for? Get out there and fucking do it.
do the Zen tarot course. No. Sorry.
Yes, definitely.
This is our platform. I get to,
Yes, you do. And I can't wait for you to do a little tarot demonstration for us eventually, because that's kind of on our list of things to do.
Fun stuff to do. You were the one, you mentioned.
Okay, this really doesn't have anything to, but maybe it does. So, what I thought of was going back to the 5 people that you surround yourself with. I thought that it might be interesting to write down the 5 people that are closest to you,
Oh,
right? And then try and think of a situation where they proved their integrity or
prove
lack
or
thereof.
showed, revealed their integrity,
Yes.
revealed their integrity.
And
Words
then
matter
possibly
out to me. The
definitely.
energy behind the words.
Yes. And so, and maybe think of 3 other people that you're not necessarily that close to, but that you have a lot of respect for because they do act integrous or with integrity and something that they've done.
Okay, so they're only looking for those who've acted with
Or do
integrity.
you want either or, one or the other?
Yeah, we can,
Both?
like, the 5 people closest to you, either or. Examples, one of, like, you don't have to do one of each, but just this person did something integrous, this person did not.
Okay.
And it's not that you need to list, like, not a diatribe.
It's really just to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to
Tune into.
Yeah, and so if you come to share, okay, so we always say with the weekly Wanderlust, that the idea is please come to our group, please share what you've learned so that we can interact with you, and because we learn as much as you do when you share. And so like if you are willing to share on this, you don't have to name the people, you don't have to call them out, but you can say something like, yes, I realize there are 2 people around me who really walk their talk, who really act with integrity. And then there's 2 other people who are totally not integrous. I hadn't realized that until you had me examine it. Like that's a
Right.
perfect way of sharing with us on that, or in the comments below. You can do that too, but we'd love to have you come over to the group and share. Okay. So 5 people that you're closest to, and whether or not an example of each where they've acted or didn't act within integrity, and then 3 people that are outside your circle but are what were you intending with the 3 people again? Was that mental?
So I was just trying to think of other people other than the 5 people that are closest to you that you have respect for because of their integrity or because of something that they did with integrity. I thought that would be interesting because it kind of makes your mind go to, okay, here are my people.
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing, are we in line with each other as far as integrity goes?
Okay.
And is there somebody else that I might want to spend some more time with that is more in line with me? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because there's a lot of people out there that might be, like they're say they're involved in, I'm thinking of some kind of a service, just because it's easier. Somebody who's involved with coaching, or somebody who maybe they're using an attorney. I don't know, different things.
Yeah.
But it feels wonky. It's that wonky kind of feeling where you feel like the words aren't matching with the feeling, but but you keep just kind of going, you brush it off. But that's your inner voice saying to you, this isn't an alignment. This is not, something's off here. And they're trying to give you the warning bells that the person's not being integrous, and that you better gut check yourself because this could turn out bad. But the thing is, when I say that it could turn out bad, understand that bad is just contrast from good, and that apparently this is an experience you needed to have, whether it's you're catching yourself in the moment of the awareness and going, ooh, I need to stop this. Like
Yeah.
you recognize in a relationship, someone's behaving a certain way and you just go, I need to switch because this does not serve me. This does
Isn't
not make
working for me
sense.
anymore. Yeah.
Mhm. Or, or if you're in a business or whatever, like, working with someone that, so it's either that awareness or you're going to finish completing the transaction, the relationship, whatever it is, and be hurt by it in the end, and then turn around and go, well, what was the lesson learned? What was the gift here? Because
Right.
you're always going to get something like we're sitting here working on awareness with all of you. That's what we're doing.
Well, and
And
every weekly Wanderlust is awareness. I mean, if we think back to the different things that we've asked you to do, if your mission, if you choose to accept it, or your homework assignment or whatever, is to think about and become aware of certain things. And that's going to change your perception and change the way you think about certain things, events, people, places, whatever.
mhm. And it's so, so important. But then some things are life's lessons, and
Yeah.
you need to go through it, and you will get out the other side, and you will be just fine. You will grow, you will learn from it, and life's great.
Well, and sometimes
It's always
it
working out
takes a
for you.
exactly. And sometimes it takes a board slapping you in the head for you to get the message. And Samantha and I have talked a lot about experiences with people that we've had over the years, and the time period it took to figure out they're not our people
Yeah.
got smaller and smaller with every interaction and with every experience.
That's how you know you devised that coming into this lifetime, you set up an experiential pattern to recognize. And some people never recognize, and other people, like, yeah, you just get better and better, quicker and quicker at realizing it. And, it's like, yay, I did it this time. I got it
Yeah,
within a week.
exactly. Well, and sometimes if you realize that's the gift, I
Mhm.
get it now. It's
And
not
it's
going to happen
fun when
next
you
time
realize.
because I finally get it.
Yeah, yeah. That is so huge. Okay.
It's
So
what I
that's the
needed for
weekly
sure.
wanderlust. That's the
But
weekly wanderlust.
that is the weekly wanderlust. Because so much has been going on in both of our lives, we haven't interacted at least for myself, I haven't interacted in the Facebook group as much as I would like to. So
Mhm.
that's top of my list. And because I'm an integrist and I have some integrity, I am going to get in there and start interacting a little bit more. I'm making that a priority.
Yeah, best of intentions. So yeah, in us wrapping up here, there's a couple of things that I want to mention. We've shifted, surprise, surprise, we've shifted some other stuff around in the group where because I was trying to put up, here's where you can do all your comments on the weekly wanderlust. It got so confusing, was never correct, and it was just more stuff in the group. And I want to see people's comments rather than having them all neat and nice in one place. So, when you come into the group, if you want to share, like you might have seen one of our podcasts that we did months ago, and
Yeah.
want to respond to it. Just say, hey, in podcast, give us the subject of what the podcast
Yeah.
is.
In the podcast about gratitude.
Yes, and then just write down whatever it is you wanna write down, and I promise you, you write it down, we're gonna go in there and talk to you about it and share and help you, if it's a necessary, if it's just a validation, we'll give you a
Yeah.
validation. If it's a
Yeah.
shift in perception, we'll give you that.
Well, and I think that in my mind, at least, you probably figured this out way before I did. I'm thinking, okay, well, they watch number one, then they watch number two, then they watch number three, but that's not the way podcasts work. It's not the way they pop up. It's not the way the Facebook thing is working. So it's a learning curve for me, especially for both of us. So we're trying to tighten it up to make it more friendly.
Mhm,
I think every time we make a change or a switch, we
mhm.
want it to be friendly and easy and fun
Well, KISS, keep it
and
simple, sister.
simple. Yeah, exactly.
So,
So
and
we appreciate the patience with us in this ongoing
then
saga of
under
switching things
construction.
around some under construction.
But okay, so the one other thing I want to mention is with our what has thankfully stayed consistent, even though I'm going back and changing some of the video covers because they're more reflective of what the
And
subject
they're
is about.
so beautiful. I love them.
Pretty.
Yes.
So, you know, when you see this podcast, it coordinates to a blog post. So we chat, like, it's funny. I look at the transcript of what you and I've talked about, and we're like, so this, like that, like, and half the sentences aren't finished. Like, it's hysterical to read the actual transcript, but
I
that's how
never
people.
have. Maybe I'll go check that out.
Oh my, well, I have to send it to you because I immediately go, oh my God, rubbish, delete. Um, but that's how we communicate. It's
Yeah.
just, that's talk. That's just extemporaneously speaking. And so that's why, like, I will take those concepts and distill them and write about them in the blog for people who maybe you don't have time to watch the podcast, or you like having a more organized way of getting to the topic. So it's a bit more dead on, right into it's just the topic. It's not the rest of the stuff. But everything we talk about, like if we mention an affirmation, if we mention a book, if we mention different products that we've used or we liked, they're all in that corresponding blog. And that blog has the same picture and title as the podcast. So it's
So when
all
we were talking about my drugs and I talked about supplements, you'll find the supplements and the link to it, in that podcast. Or, if you're listening and you're like, what in the world were they talking about? Definitely comment and we'll go back and tell you what we talked about. But more than likely, there's a link to something or an explanation for a further explanation in the blog.
And one of my favorite parts of that is I love grabbing any of the affirmations and repeating them there.
Yeah.
And also, like, if we reference, because oftentimes we reference Abraham Hicks or Bashar, or the concept of Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you.
Oh my God.
Fuck, I am. That's what it says. Because that was the affirmation that we pulled.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. So those videos, like the links to those videos, they're right in there. So we've made everything easy to find. And so we encourage you, we're going to be putting a lot of cool stuff in there as we get closer to the holidays. So
And we're looking for alliteration for our favorite things, because we're going to do like Oprah's favorite things, but it's going to be some sort of Kiss Girls something. I don't know. We haven't figured that out.
Yeah, we've asked Jeeves, and Jeeves hasn't sparked one that just really grabs us. So we're getting there. Okay.
Bye.
Enough, you guys. Bye.